Today we're going to get into resource guarding and making sure that your dog is learning to actually like your approach towards them when they have an item instead of getting upset about it. So when you're picking out what you're going to use, first off, you want to use something for your dog that they enjoy, that they'll lick or chew for a little while, so you can do your training setups. However, you don't want it to be something that they're going to actively guard and get upset about, because we're just working on foundations right now. We'll eventually work up to that, of them having something very valuable like a bone. But right now, it's something a bit easier for them. What we also want to do is make sure the safety protocols are put in place. So you're going to see my dog come out in a moment, and he's really not much of a guarder at all, but he's a great demo for this. So he's going to be back over here with a licky mat and some yummy stuff on it, some chicken. What's going to end up happening is I could tether him, I could put him on a harness and a leash and attach it to a table or something like that, just to make sure that we are safe. So in case I got too close, or in case you get too close to your dog accidentally, that we don't have a bite happening, because there is that restriction. What I also like to do is put down a visual marker for ourselves as people of, this is the line we do not cross. And that is based on your dog's body language. Any signs of stress, that means we need to stop. So what you're going to see me doing, it's going to have my dog in the area back here. I'll have my little visual marker, and I'm going to be walking side to side. So I'm going to go out of view completely. I will come into view, and then I will be rewarding him as I get right about, honestly, here. He's going to get a treat, and I'm going to toss it over to him. He's not going to find it very easily at first, just because of, he might not care. He might just care more about the food that is on his licky mat. And that is where you need to make sure too, that the food you're tossing your dog is equal to, at least equal to, but preferably better than what they're licking or what they're chewing on. And then what we end up doing is we toss them that reward and we walk away. And we're going to practice that a bunch of times. We're not going to go straight up to the dog. That's way too confrontational. So right now we need to have a really great distance away, so where they do not show any signs of stress. And then you're going to be walking in, you're going to stop, you're going to toss a treat and immediately walk away, regardless of whether they eat that treat or not. Over time, what's going to happen is they're going to say, oh, there they come, this is all exciting, and start to look up in anticipation of you coming. And that is what we're looking for. That is what we're building up to at the moment with this initial stage of resource guarding training. So let me get us set up here with my guide. Come on. Over here. Okay. This way. Good boy. This way here. Here you go. Got it? This is going to be my visual marker not to pass. I'm still going to try to stay away from that marker. I'm going to walk in, toss a treat, turn and walk out. Walk in, toss a treat, turn and walk out. And notice I'm not lingering. Again. And now with Jeter, what's happening is he is blind, so he's not seeing the trees I'm tossing. So I have to get them relatively close. But what I'm looking for here is making sure that we just have the mechanics down. And if your dog does guard any items or items from, like, you know, you don't want to use a bottle as your stopping point, as your visual marker, if your dog might guard that, even from a distance. And same with the cat. If this was a controlled setup where my dog actually did resource guard, I would make sure the cat was away. So those are all various factors that we have to come into play. If there's multiple people, if there are other animals around, we need these to be very controlled setups. What starts to happen is you'll see that your dog goes and grabs a treat and goes back to their item. Grabs the treat you toss and goes right back to their item. That's great. Eventually, they're going to start to look up in anticipation as you start walking towards them, which is fantastic. So a few reminders. Always make sure that at first we're going parallel. We're not going straight at the dogs. Make sure that your dog is safely contained. It could be behind a baby gate. It might be on leash and attached or tethered to something. And have that visual, that marker, but make sure to even stay further away from the marker. If you think you're far enough away, honestly, take a few extra steps back. It's going to be very important to observe your dog's body language in this process to look for signs of stress. And that is something that we can go into at a later time. But give it a try, and we will go from there afterwards of the later stages of the separation, of having us apart from each other, and eventually your dog's going to want you to approach and be all excited when you come in, and that's what we'll move on to.